Thank you, Maria Rosa, and good afternoon, everyone. It's really a pleasure to take part in this important debate. And to complement previous speakers, I would like to provide a mobile communications industry perspective in the context of the upcoming revision of the EU cybersecurity legal framework. As mentioned, really the threat landscape has changed dramatically since the existing EU cybersecurity legal framework was put in place a few years back. If you recall, NIS directive was adopted in 2016. And, we are living in times when cybersecurity is actually being increasingly influenced by so many different factors that go beyond the traditional technical factor. You name it, it's geopolitical, economic, digital, legal. So the landscape really changed dramatically. And on top of all that, as Madam Kaljurand mentioned at the beginning of the debate, we have COVID-19 pandemic, which really highlighted the criticality of maintaining secure connectivity. And this pandemic actually has caused unprecedented challenges, and therefore providing a robust and secure connectivity to all has never been of greater importance. And mobile communications industry plays a great deal in achieving that. And in this context, cybersecurity measures are extremely important to mobile telecoms industry, because we believe that Europe needs that clear and legally sound cybersecurity legal framework, and that the importance of the NIS directive should be enhanced. So with that in mind, it is also important that the certification framework introduced by the EU Cybersecurity Act should be used as an additional means to close the gaps of the NIS directive. Particularly with respect to the security of 5G networks, which are very important for telecoms industry. And in this context, the GSMA has already achieved a significant progress when developing network equipment security assurance scheme, the so-called, more widely known NISAS scheme. And this scheme is a great example of how industry can contribute with its best practice to achieving a robust certification for the ecosystem players. And we hope that NISA scheme could eventually become an EU-approved approach. So for the GSMA operator members, which are in many cases active across multiple countries in the European single market, it is important that this legal framework that provides for a high common level of cybersecurity and legal certainty would be established. And this fragmented set of European and national rules that we have now cannot remain, because inevitably it would lead to market distortions and differing security standards. So in that regard, when thinking about what's coming, NIS directive is going to be proposed in a few days. And we feel the key objectives mainly should be focusing on three key points here. Firstly, it should address all relevant actors, and particularly by including vendors of hardware and software in the scope, because the revision has to achieve a more robust, secure, and resilient digital value chain. And secondly, it should ensure coherence and consistency between different legal instruments that we have now, so to avoid that complexity and redundancy in the application of security requirements. And here I refer to the already existing Electronic Communications Code, the before mentioned Cybersecurity Act, and also the new measures on critical infrastructure protection. And thirdly, the revision should also reduce fragmentation within single market through legislation that provides for a harmonized implementation across the member states. And with that, more legal certainty for pan-European operators would be also introduced. And I think in this context, it is also crucial to know that we need to ensure that those security requirements and response procedures are harmonized as well across the EU member states. In addition, I think it is very important to raise some of the concerns that industry have with regards to Commission's considerations to include telecoms operators further in the scope of the revised NIS directive. And this is important in the context of 5G, because where telecom supply chain disruptions may present an opportunity for Europe to regain sovereignty in some strategically important areas, yet when you think about it, on the other hand, telecom sector weakened by overregulation could be exposed to greater foreign control. So all these required new protection measures come with a price, of course, and I think it is important to mention that, because to provide that safe data ecosystem, we measured at our GSMA intelligence department that Europe needs about 100 billion of investment over the next 5 years. If you take, for example, the US government budget for cybersecurity in 2020 alone is close to 20 billion. China, for example, spent 7 billion on cybersecurity last year. And this is expected to grow at about 25% a year. So for perspective, 100 billion that we need is equivalent to about a tenth of EU member states' combined defense budgets. And I think this is an important perspective to take in. So just to conclude, I'd like to know that if we want really to make this revision a success, the EU needs to take that coherent approach and help achieve not only digital resilience, but also greater security for European networks with that coherent approach. And in that way, I think we would get to the point of delivering that gigabit society for our citizens, which is the true end goal for everyone. Thank you.